and the Marriott Foundation. Every day at 6, the Millennium Stage brings you the best in music, dance, theater, and more. Each night's performance is broadcast live and available on demand on our website. As a courtesy to this evening's performers and audience members, please turn off your mobile devices and note the nearest exit. Flash photography, video recording, and audio recording are strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoyed tonight's performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Millennium Stage here at the Kennedy Center. Now please welcome to the stage, Ken Weiss.
Good evening, everybody. On Saturday night, the Washington National Opera opens our first ever complete presentation of Wagner's Ring Cycle. Now, today we throw around the word epic quite a bit in conversation, but by any measure, Wagner's Ring Cycle is seriously epic. We're talking about 4 operas, a total of 17 hours of music, which take you literally from the creation of a world to its end in fire and flood. The Ring is Wagner's take on the Norse legends about gods and mortals, about giants and dwarves, and heroes and dragons. At the heart of the story is a magic ring that confers on its owner great power, but also subjects its owner to a terrible curse. And it's a ring that can actually destroy the world unless its gold is returned to the river from which it came. If this sounds a lot like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, by the way, that's not an accident, because Tolkien and Wagner were looking at the same medieval sagas and epics for source material when they wrote their pieces. Tonight and Thursday night, we're going to present a preview of the operas of the Ring. We're going to walk you through the plot. We're going to let you hear some highlights from the Ring sung live by members of our company, and we're going to talk a little about what makes the Ring such a special experience. So, our story begins in the first opera, the Rhinegold. The story begins in the River Rhine with 3 water nymphs, the Rhine Maidens. Their names are Woglinde, Wellgunde, and Flosshilde. Now, those are kind of obscure-sounding names, but they are not random obscure-sounding names, because like many characters in the Ring, their names reflect their station in life. Vog and Well and Floss are all German roots that have to do with water and waves. So the Rhine Maidens have a job, and their job is to protect the magical gold that lives in the depths of the River Rhine. Into their world comes Alberich. He is a Nibelung, that is an inhabitant of the dark caverns and mines deep under the earth that are called Nibelheim. And Alberich is completely smitten with the Rhine Maidens at first sight. The feeling is not mutual. Not only do they turn down his offers of love, but they tease him rather cruelly. And then suddenly their attention is drawn away from him, because the sun has risen and suddenly strikes the gold at the bottom of the river, and a great golden glow comes up, and the Rhine Maidens are absolutely enchanted, and Alberich is absolutely mystified. And the Rhine Maidens explain to him that the gold has magical powers, that if someone could forge a ring from this gold, he would have immense power, could rule the world. But you have to make a terrible sacrifice to forge that ring. You have to renounce love forever. Let's hear an excerpt now from the first scene of the Rhinegold. The Rhine Maidens will be Jennifer Charest, Alexandra Romano, and Yves Gigliotti. As Alberich, we'll hear Daniel Sutton. At the piano is Robert Mollicone. We're going to hear the moment just when the sun wakes the gold at the bottom of the river.
wenig zu eigen durch dich. Jetzt fäng ich dich lieber, doch listig erst fäng ich in Lust. Warte dazu, denn Liebe naht ein Spiel. So pulst du die Pfitze, welches erzieht. Das Licht löst euch aus, entreißen den Rift das Gold, schmieden rächende Ring, denn höher ist die Flut, so verfloh ich die Liebe.
So Albrecht does the thing nobody expected. He steals the gold, he renounces love forever, and that's the theft that sets the whole rest of the plot in motion. In the next scene, we move to the home of the gods. The gods in Norse mythology, like in Greek and Roman mythology, are mostly related. They're a family, a rather dysfunctional family, but a family. They're headed by Wotan, king of the gods. He's married to Fricka, the guardian of marriage. She has 3 siblings, Donner, the thunder god, Fro, the rainbow god, and Freya, the goddess of love. And also hanging out with them is Loge, the god of fire, who's a tricky fella and not related to anybody else. Now, Wotan has just built his family a new home. It's going to be called Valhalla, which means the Hall of Battle. It's another name that's not random. But he's contracted with 2 giants named Fasolt and Fafnir to build this place for him, and they've settled on a rather unusual price. He has promised them his sister-in-law, Freya. Okay? He's done it on the advice of Loge, who's like sketchy lawyer to the gods, and Loge promises that he's going to get him out of the deal. But the giants are insisting on being paid according to the contract. And this is a big problem, because not only is Freya the goddess of love, she is the god who keeps all the other gods godlike, because she tends this tree that bears golden apples. If the gods eat the golden apples every day, then they stay mighty and they stay forever young. If they don't eat them, then they're in trouble. And if Freya goes away, the tree dies. So now they're in big trouble. Loge does find a way to distract the giants, gives them something else to accept instead of Freya as payment, because he tells them about Alberich. And he says, Alberich has forged this ring, and now he's enslaved everybody else in Nibelheim. They're mining gold for him. He's piled up a huge hoard of gold. And the giants say, okay, if you give us the Nibelung gold, we'll accept that in lieu of Freya. So Wotan and Loge have to go down to Nibelheim to find Alberich and try to get the gold. That's where we're going to see them next. When they get down there, they discover that Alberich is even more powerful than they thought. Not only does he have the ring, but he's fashioned this magic helmet. You know from the Bugs Bunny cartoon, the magic helmet? This is where it comes from, okay? The magic helmet is called the Tarnhelm, and what it allows you to do is to assume any shape you want or be transported instantly to any place that you want. Alberich tells them that he has big plans for his gold. He's going to use it to conquer the world, including Valhalla. Let's hear now Daniel Sutton again as Alberich, with Jukka Rasilainen as Wotan and Dennis Peterson as Loge in a scene from Das Rheingold, scene 3.
wollt ihr hier? Am Nibelheims nettem Land vernahmen wir neue Meer. Mächt'ge Wunder wirke hier Alberich, daran uns zu weiden, trieb uns Gäste die Gier. Ach, Nibelheim, fühlt euch der Neid, sein König Gäste glaubt, kenn ich gut.
Kennst du mich gut, kindischer Alp? Nun sag, verbinn ich, dass du so bellst im kalten Loch, da kauern du lachst. Fehlt ob dir nicht und fällt mit der Loge, wenn Loge niedergelacht. Wer hilft dir dein Schmieden, heißt es die Schmieder dir nicht. Dir bin ich Vetter und war dir Freund, nicht Feind und dünkt mich dein Dank.
Die Licht aber lag jetzt Loge listigem. Bist du Vater, ihr Freund, wie mir freut, du ein Eis. Aha! Ich freut's, von ihnen fisch ich halt nicht.
So denk ich, kannst du mir trauen.
Deiner Untreu trau ich nicht deine Treu. Doch getrost trotz ich euch allen.
Oh, nun verleiht deiner Macht, grimmig groß wuchs dir die Kraft.
Siehst du, wie Hund in mein Herd und mir gehäuft?
So neidischen sah ich noch nie.
Das ist verheut ein täglich Weibchen. Kühn und mächtig soll ich künftig sortieren. Du warst doch fremd, dir der Hort, da freudlos Nibelheim, nichts für Schätze hier fein. Schätze zu schaffen und Schätze zu bergen, nichts mehr niemals naht. Dort in den Ort, in der Höhe, gehäuft, denk ich ein Wunder zu wirken. Die ganze Welt gewillte ihn mir zu eigen. Wie beginnst du, gütiger Katz? Lacht und liebt. Mit Donnerapplaus euch grüßet, empfang ich mir alle. Ich der Liebe abgesagt, alles was lebt, soll ich entsagen. Mit Tode bekehrt, nach Donner sollt ihr agieren. Habt Acht, denn die der Männer erst meiner Macht, euer schmucken Frauen, mein frei verspäht, sie schwingt zur Lust, sie ist der Schwerk, lag Liebe ihm nicht. Habt sie's erhöht, habt Acht vor den nägischen Heer, entscheid das niedrigen Ort, das stumme Tiefe, Totalt.
So Alberich's very powerful now. He is not as clever as Loga, however, which is going to be his downfall. Loga tricks him into using the magic helmet. He says, I bet you can't use that thing to turn yourself into something really small, like a frog. And Alberich says, you bet I can, and he does. And as soon as he's a frog, Wotan and Loga nab him and cart him off to Valhalla. And when he regains his normal form, he finds himself chained up, and he's going to have to pay a stiff ransom for his freedom. He's going to give them all their gold and the Tarnhelm and the ring. And he grudgingly will give up the gold and the Tarnhelm, but he really doesn't want to give up the ring. He says he would rather give up his life. Wotan takes it from him by force, and then Alberich lays a terrible curse on the ring. He says, whoever doesn't have it will be consumed with longing for it, and whoever has it will have no peace from it. The ring's master will always be the ring's slave, and it will bring each of its owners death. Wotan is undeterred, and he goes off to negotiate with the giants. He gives them the gold, but they insist on having the helmet and the ring as well as part of the treasure. And the curse is already working. Wotan is unwilling to give up the ring. And the only reason he gives it up is because there is suddenly an appearance of a new character, Erda, the earth goddess. She is a prophetess, and she tells Wotan that if he doesn't give up the ring, the end of the gods is at hand. And shaken by her warning, Wotan gives the ring to the giants, and the curse is immediately proved because one giant kills the other for possession of the ring right away. We should stop and talk about something rather extraordinary about the Norse gods. They are powerful, but they're not all powerful. They can be cursed by the likes of Alberich. They can be weakened by the loss of Freya's apples. They have to honor contracts. Wotan particularly, and this is important for the whole ring, Wotan is the guarantor of contracts. That's part of his portfolio as a god. And so he's obligated to honor the treaties he makes. Nobody imagines that Zeus or Jupiter get in this kind of fix, but Wotan does. And they are certainly longer lived than mortals, but they are perhaps not immortal, because Erda can foresee their end. Anyway, at this point in the story, things are looking up. Freya has been ransomed, and the giants go away, or the remaining giant goes away, and the gods own Valhalla free and clear. And Wotan invites his wife Fricka and the rest to join him in the new palace. And we'll hear his closing aria now from Jukka Rasilainen as Wotan. This is Abendlich strahlt das Auge.
strahlte Sonne Auge in prächtiger Glut, ragt glänzend die Burg. In des Morgens Scheine erschimmt lag sie herrenlos. Ihr verlockend vor mir. Von Morgen bis Abend in mir
And so ends the first segment of the Ring of the Nibelungen, the Rhinegold. The next opera, the Valkyrie, or Die Valkyrie, begins many years later. We find a mortal hero running through the woods pursued by his enemies. He collapses on the doorstep of a house. The house is occupied by an unhappy woman named Sieglinde and her brutal, abusive husband, whose name is Hunding. Sieglinde revives the guest and asks him to tell her his name, and he tells her he's called Wewald, the sorrowful one, because misfortune dogs his steps everywhere he goes. And that's going to be borne out as soon as her husband Hunding gets home. Hunding asks Wewald for his story, and he says he's alone in the world. When he was very young, his mother was killed by a rival clan, his twin sister disappeared. He roamed the woods for many years with his father. Now his father is gone too. And he's continued roaming the world, and everywhere he goes, he seems to run into trouble. And this day is no exception, because it turns out that the people who have been chasing Wewald this day are Hunding's own kinsmen. Now, the rules of hospitality forbid him from murdering him right then and there, but he says, in the morning you're leaving the house, and then there will be a battle, and I'll slay you. Wewald is left alone, and he is in despair. He is unarmed. His father had promised him that in his hour of greatest need, he would find a sword to protect him, but he has no idea where it could be. And then Sieglinde comes back into the room, and she says, I've drugged Hunding, now you can escape, and I have a weapon for you. In the center of this house is a great ash tree, and stuck in the trunk of the tree is a sword. It was put there many years before, on the day of Sieglinde's wedding, by an unexpected guest at the feast, an old man who came in and thrust a sword into the tree, and nobody's been able to move it since. As she's telling him the story, the attraction between them grows stronger and stronger. And then something extraordinary happens. Suddenly, all the doors of the house fly open, magically. And she says, oh my gosh, what happened? Who went out? Who came in? And Wewald says to her, spring has come in. Spring has come in, lured by his sister, who is Love. We're going to hear the arias that follow that moment, and the love duet that ends Act 1 of the Valkyrie. There's something to notice in the words that the characters sing at the beginning. The first words of Siegmund's aria are Winterstürme wichen dem Wonnemond, im milden Lichten leuchtet der Lenz. You all hear all that alliteration? Okay, that is not an accident. That's Wagner's version of rhyming. It's called front rhyme, or he would have called it Stabreim. And it replaces this sort of end rhyme we're used to, moon, June, spoon, right? Why does he use this kind of rhyming? Because that's the kind of rhyming they used in the medieval epics that he was reading when he was preparing to write The Ring of the Nibelungen. So please welcome as Sieglinde Melissa Citro, as Siegmund Richard Cox, and at the piano is Stephanie Rhodes. In this duet, you're going to find out why they're so attracted to each other and what Wewald's real name is and why.
entspringt seiner Kraft. Mit zarte Waffen zwingt die Welt, Wind und Sturm wischen des starken Wehr. Wo musste den Taten streichen die Strenge, Türe aufweichen die trotzig und starr, und trennte von ihm. Zu seiner Schwester schwang sich her, die Liebe lockte den längst in unserem Busen, barg sie sich tief und lag sie selig dem Licht. Die bräutliche Schwester befreite der Bruder, zertrümmert liegt, was sie getrennt. Jauchzet Christus das junge Paar, wer eint sind Liebe und Lenz. Du bist der Lenz, nachdem ich verlangte, in frostigen Wintersfrist. Dich grüßte mein Herz mit heiligem Grauen, als dein Glück zuerst Fremdes nur sah ich von je. Freundlos war mir das nahe, als hätt ich nie es gekannt. War was immer mir kam, doch dich kannt ich deutlich und klar, als mein Auge dich sah, warst du mein Eigen, was im Busen ich barg, was ich bin, wieder taucht es mir auf, wie tönender schlagsam mein Ohr, als in frostig öder Fremder zuerst ich in Freud ersah. O süßestes Wohnen, seligstes Weib, o lasset Nähe zu dir mich neigen, das Herr ich schaue, dem Herrn Schein, der dir aufs Auge
sagt es vor der Wohne, die mich schwitzt Ein Wunder will mich gemahnen, den heut zuerst ich erschaut, mein Auge sagt ich schon.
Ein Minnetraum gemannt auf mich in heißen Sinnen, sah ich dich schon.
Im Bach erblickt ich mein eigen Bild, und jetzt gewahr ich es wieder, wie einst im Teich es hinaus bietest mein Bild mir
Du bist das Bild, das ich in mir war.
Still, lass mich der Stimme lauschen. Mich dünkt ihren Klang. Hört ich als Kind, doch nein, ich hörte sie neulich, als meine Stimme schau und lebte der
Heimlicher Jahre, denen ich lausche.
Deines Auges Glut erglänzte mir schon, so blickte der Greis grüßend auf mich, als im traurigen Trost er gab. An dem Blick erkannt ihn sein Kind, schon bald auf ihn nahmen seine Namen. Wie weit heißt du für wahr?
Nicht heiß mich so, seit du mich liebst, und bald ich der ersten ahnen.
Und Friedmund darfst du froh dich nicht nennen.
Nenne mich du, wie du liebst, dass ich heiße, den Namen nenn ich von dir.
Doch nannte zu Wolfa den Vater.
Ein Woche Feigenfüchsin, doch den so stolz strahlte das Auge, im herrlicher Himmelsgestalt, der war Felsen genannt.
Wo wärst dein Vater und bist du ein Waffen? Stieß für dich sein Schwert in den Stahl, so lass mich nicht heißen, welches Leben. So Sigmund in Felsung siehst du weit. Aus Braut aber bringt dich Schwert. So freit sich die seligste Frau, in Feindes Haus entführt dich so. Fern von hier folge mir nun, fort in des Lenzes lochendes Haus, dort schützt dich Not und das Schwert, denn Sigmund dir liebend erlag. Ist das Sigmund, den ich sehe, Siglinde bin ich, die ich hier seh, die arme Schwester gewandt und zerreizt mit dem Schwert. Braut und Schwester, bis vor dem Rode, so weinen Heilsungen belangt.
So Sigmund and Sieglinde are twins, and their father is Wotan. Okay, it's a little weird, but you might be inclined to give them a pass because they're demigods, and in the families of gods, as we know in many cultures, this is sort of normal, right? But Wotan's wife, Fricka, the guardian of marriage, is not going to give them a pass. Because not only is their love adulterous, it's also incestuous. And she insists that Sieglinde's husband, Hunding, be allowed to slay Sigmund in battle. And because Wotan is the guarantor of contracts, he has no choice but to agree. And reluctantly, he orders his daughter, Brunhilde, the Valkyrie, to make it happen. What's a Valkyrie? The Valkyries were 9 warrior daughters of Wotan, and their job was to pick up slain warriors from the battlefield and convey their souls to Valhalla, where they would form an army for the gods. The famous Ride of the Valkyries is the beginning of Act 3 of this opera, where each of the Valkyries arrives on her flying horse bearing a fallen warrior across her saddle. Brunhilde is the Valkyrie daughter who's closest to her father. And when he tells her that Sigmund must die, he also tells her of the great hopes he had for his mortal son. Why did he have a mortal son? Remember, that ring is out there in the world, and Wotan knows it can bring destruction to the entire world. But because he's bound by his own contracts, he can't go get it back. And he sired a mortal hero in the hopes that that hero of his own free will would be able to reclaim the ring and redeem the world. And now that's not going to happen. Brunhilde knows that her father doesn't want Sigmund to die. And when she goes and appears to Sigmund before the battle to tell him he's going to die, she is moved, touched to the heart by his love for Sieglinde. And in the end, she decides she can't ordain his death. She decides she's going to switch the outcome of the battle. She's going to fight for Sigmund and disobey her father. Wotan is not a fellow who is easily disobeyed. He appears on the battlefield at the crucial moment. He raises his spear and shatters Sigmund's sword. Sigmund is killed. Brunhilde manages only to save Sieglinde. She is already pregnant with Sigmund's son. He will grow up to be the greatest of all the heroes. His name is Siegfried. We meet him in opera number 3. Meanwhile, Wotan has fulfilled all his obligations, but he is racked with grief for his son, and he is furious at Brunhilde for having disobeyed him. And so he chases her back to Valhalla, and he ordains a terrible punishment. She will be cast out of the family of the immortals. She will lose her divinity. He will put her to sleep on a rock, and the first man who finds her there will awaken her and make her his bride. Now, for a Valkyrie who's like an Amazon or a follower of the goddess Diana, this is a terrible fate. They're proud, celibate warriors. She begs him to take her life instead. She says that she only did what she knew he wanted to do but couldn't. And in the end, he relents partially. He can't rescind her punishment because, after all, he's bound by the contracts. But he agrees to surround her with a ring of magic fire so that only the bravest of heroes will be able to wake her and become her husband. So we'll hear the farewell, a part of Wotan's farewell to his daughter Brunhilde that closes the opera, The Valkyrie or Die Valkyrie. Here is, as Wotan again, Jukka Rasilainen. At the piano, Stephanie Rhodes.
Mein Gruß dich mehr grüßen, sollst du nun nicht mehr neben mir reiten, noch mit beim Mahl mir reichen, muss ich verlieren, dich liebe, du lachende Lust meines Auges. Ein bräutliches Feuer sollt ihn nun brennen, wie nie eine Braut es gebrannt. Flammende Glut umglühe den Fels, mit zehrenden Schrecken scheuchzen Zagen. Der feige fliehe Brünnhildes Fels. Denn einer nur freie die Braut. Der Freier als ich
Who will wake Brunhilde? What will happen to Siegfried? And will the Rhine Maidens ever get their gold back? We invite you to join us here on Thursday night when we'll introduce you to Siegfried and the Twilight of the Gods. We also have many, many other events around the ring, lectures and symposia, which you can find out about by visiting us on the web. There are pre-show lectures for each of the operas featuring the dramaturg of San Francisco Opera, Kip Cranna. I believe the first one is right here at the Millennium Stage. And we thank you all for coming, and we wish you a wonderful evening and hope to see you again at the opera. Thank you so much.